Okay, does this thing, can you hear me? Yeah? All right. Like some head device or something. So I have a bit of a cold, so. Today is a business track, so I tried to give you kind of an overview of the business challenges that we have faced and that we are facing now. And I think to get it started, what I want to do is to explain the idea behind OpenMoco from the business side. So from the technical side, it's pretty obvious. We wanted to create 100% open, a free software phone. Now, from the business side, it's kind of interesting. If you're a 15-year-old kid, and if you walk up to Steve Ballmer, and you say, hey, Steve, I have a piece of software that will put Microsoft out of business, he'll listen to you. Because he knows the power of software. He knows the ability for some person hacking away in their basement to come up with a piece of software so disruptive that it really does change his business model. So he will listen. Now, if you go to Intel, right, Ottolini, and you say, I have a new chip that I designed that tomorrow will put Intel out of business, he'll ask you two questions. First question, who is your investor? Second question, where is your fab? Where's your factory? Who's going to make it? Intel wins because they have a business model where they can make more cash. They can put the cash back into more factories. It's a perpetual cycle. Software doesn't have that cycle. So the idea, if you will, behind OpenMoco was, how do you take the concepts that only exist in the software world and bring it to a business that's trying to produce hardware? In other words, how do you use things like the infinite free copyability of software, the ability to have a customer interact and you know how they interact with it? How do you bring that into the hardware business? This is OpenMoco. This was the original idea. And this was the original phone. It's been a while now. We've been at this for almost 3 years. There was a significant number of challenges to get to where we are today, and even more, I would say, to get to where we want to go. So today, I'll try to paint a picture of OpenMoco, the company, the business, where we're at, where we want to go, the challenges, the mistakes, and I hope you enjoy. So first, usually we don't like to talk too much about numbers, mainly because numbers tie very quickly into expectations, but I think it's important to get an idea of our size. So we made the Neo 1973, and it took a very, very long time for us to get it into production. When we finally got it into production, we actually planned to make a lot more than that, but because of a mistake, we only bought that many parts. 3,000, that's how many we sold. The Neo Freerunner we've been selling since July of 2008, and we've sold a bit more than 10,000 right now. This part's extremely interesting. All the different distributions. There are many, many more. These are just the ones that I think at least have been getting some pretty interesting buzz. We're working on some stuff. This is mainly thanks a lot to the guys in the back of the room there, the FSO team. Android, you guys have all heard of that. It's interesting only because so many people are interested in it. I call this community when I go talk with everyone else. The stable hybrid release. It's a very, very interesting project. And of course, Debian. A couple of days ago, I was at an embedded systems conference, and most people actually haven't even heard of us. They haven't even heard of that there is an open phone that they can work on. They're all waiting to develop on Android, but HTC won't get them phones. And so I said, look, we have this platform, and they were extremely excited about it. And I showed them these different pictures. And again, it's very interesting to find a commercial piece of hardware that has that level of flexibility. There was many, many unexpected markets that we came into, and so much so that it became a business problem. We were unable to service. We were unable to really satisfy the needs of all these different markets. This is Oxford archaeology, and they originally do things using pencil and paper. They go into the field, dig up stuff, record things, and they're working on replacing this paper version with a freerunner version. So it's really interesting for us. These are markets that really did not exist before. You weren't able to go buy a phone, put the software you want on it, and then resell that to another person, and that's what they're trying to do. They will create software. They have created software, and they will take this software and package it into a product and resell it. There's some really interesting business opportunities. Now, people are starting to make accessories for our phone, and this is one made by Tuxbrain. We actually had an idea, us, the company, wanted to make this kind of thing, but he beat us. He's faster. So again, it's a really interesting statement. We opened up the CAD files to the case. I'm sure most of you know this, but when you open up the CAD files, it becomes extremely easy to make these sorts of skins and these different pouches. And again, these are just interesting business models. Mistakes. Right? I hope you guys can appreciate the talk today. It covers a lot of different topics, and I pretty much assume you already know what OpenMoco is. So I'm trying to just give you my perspective on how I see the company, how I see both the project, the community efforts, and then our business efforts, how we are trying to continue to support this. So first, early on, we started this project inside a large OEM, which I'm sure most of you guys know by now, and we had other things going on. This was a project that we worked on for a company in Silicon Valley, and when things got difficult, I would say about 90% of all of OpenMoco's resources, maybe even more, were focused on this. And this was at a very critical time for us. This was when we were trying to get the freerunner to market. And why 90%? Well, this is previous commitments. We gave our word on some things, and I believe that when you give your word, you have to deliver. And so this is what we did. We put the whole company almost, including many of our kernel engineers, on this guy to get it to market. Now, whether you say it's a mistake or not, I put it in the mistake category because it was a project that was legacy, if you will, from when we first started, and we had to get it done. We couldn't stop it early because it would have really negatively affected their business. And so it was a mistake because in the end, both sides were not very successful with this product. So I wanted to just say it today. Second is this notion that hardware is like software. It's not at all. We had a company that had a culture where we would say, oh, well, let's just do another spin, or oh, well, let's just recompile the hardware. And you can't recompile hardware. It doesn't work that way. So many of you know we had multiple versions of hardware before we got it right. Software, everyone expects this. Hardware, you can't really do it. It's extremely difficult from the operations, from the logistics side. So this is a concept that early on, because the culture was so software-based, I don't think we got this right. Second thing was, towards the end of last year, sales were good. Now, I will put good kind of into context. It was enough to where the company could break even each month with let's just keep going. A couple thousand per month. And so towards the end of the year, we said, hey, let's make a lot more. And we made a lot more. And then who knows what happened. People like to blame the world economy. I sure don't. But something happened, and sales slowed down considerably. And so we're left with a lot of inventory. And inventory, for a small company, inventory is one of the scariest things you can imagine. You have a product that, well, you guys know how much this product costs. Let me just say that I don't drive a Ferrari. No one's getting rich on this. So we have a product where the cost is pretty high for us to manufacture, and we have a ton of inventory. And this becomes a cash flow burden for a startup company. So the other thing was When the company was first set up, we had the idea we would just drop ship directly from our factory to you, right? Individuals around the world. And this became a lot more difficult than what we thought. All the different customs, all the different import duties, the taxes, the tariffs that you face trying to get products around the world. So we set up a hub in California to service North America, and we tried for a very long time to set up a hub in Europe. But because of issues with creating a local company, with VAT, with all of those things that a stable old business takes for granted, we struggled. So logistics is not just like FedEx. And then recamping. Everyone who knows that infamous GSM bug, 1024, will know what recamping is. It's your phone tries to connect to the network, it does, then it goes off, and then it connects again, and then it goes off again. And so I like to explain our company as recamping lots of times, in the sense that we start projects, we start another one, we go back to the old one, we go to another one, we go back to the next one. And so many times, I believe the focus early on was not strong enough. It was not to the level of dedication and focus of let's just get the phone to where it's usable as a day-to-day product. We had too many things. We did U-boot, we rewrote U-boot. We did this framework, we rewrote that framework. And so there was, from the beginning, we had very good ideas. In fact, when I look back at the original ideas and I look back at where we are now, they're very, very similar. But if I look back at the path of how we got there, it wasn't exactly from A to B to C to D. So I call this recamping. I want to share with you the challenges that we face right now as a company to let us be successful into the future the way we want to. And the first is we're burning a lot of money. Again, we are a startup. We have a lot of inventory now, and the cost to run a hardware business is extremely high. The cost to run what I would say a global team working on a phone. Again, we're not a big company, but for a startup, we don't have one of those .com type, we have a web server and that's it, business models. So it's very expensive for us to keep this going, and as sales go down, it gets more and more pressure. So again, these are the challenges that I'm facing right now, trying to build a company that fundamentally believes in the power of software, and first and foremost, the free and open software, and how it can transform a hardware business. So these are the realities that we're up against now. In the beginning, we were labeled an iPhone killer. And a lot of you might think this was a good thing. For me, it's a scary thing, because what it means is expectations are out of whack. We never tried to create an iPhone killer. That was never a concept. In fact, when we started, there wasn't even the iPhone. We just tried to create the product that we wanted. And the media were excited about it because, sure, everyone knew that the phone needed to be opened up a bit. Now, to what level, of course, there's always different opinions, but we said, let's go all the way. And Apple obviously didn't say, let's go all the way, but we were labeled a killer. And in a couple of interviews, I said we're the anti-iPhone, not the iPhone killer, but then for some reason, anti also got construed to mean killer as well. And anti, to me at least, is like the opposite, but it wasn't taken that way in the media, it wasn't taken that way in the press, and I believe this created lots of expectations of people who bought product and expected an experience of software like that. And of course, 60 or so people cannot deliver what 5,000 engineers can in 2.5 years. The next is, do not cross this line, cool. On the ground. The next is this concept that we are like a kernel only, and I would say a kernel with some missing drivers. So we're a company that we first started off as a project inside a company that was then spun out and tried to build into a full-fledged company. And the pieces that we we relied upon inside the big company as we spin out, as we become independent, no longer exist. So you're trying to build this race car so you can drive real fast, but then you realize that the brakes are gone. You realize that there's no windshield. And you realize that maybe even the engine, some of the pistons, maybe a piston is broken. Who knows, right? So we had this challenge of not only building a software stack, but also building a company, both from the inside out and then later on from the outside in. And so it was a very, very, very difficult challenge from the business side. It's always easier to start something new than it is to look at what already exists and reshape that, remold that into what fits reality at the current time. So that's the challenge that we had. Now, I think actually this is what you want to hear about the most today, is the future of OpenMoco. We had a project that we called GTA 03. We have another project internal. I always have a backup plan in whatever I do. I'm key on long-term. I'm a long-term person, and I believe that theory is theory. You have great theories, but then reality sometimes hits in, and you have to make adjustments short-term. So today, what I want to share with you about is a decision to make an adjustment short-term so we can continue long-term. GTA 03 was our next phone, and this phone was directed specifically at consumers, mass market. It was supposed to be a mass market open phone, and we had serious recamping issues a number of times to get to the point where we are today. We had a backup project that was really kind of a back burner thing. This is an interesting other open device that I thought people would be excited about. And what ended up happening was the business, because of the short-term pressure of having to be profitable, of having to be able to get that cash flow to where month to month we're not burning so much money, made it to where we had to look again at these two projects and say, what is the priorities of them both? Okay? Resource-wise, this was a very, very small project. Resource-wise, GTA 03 was a monstrous project. It required a substantial buildup of new people in the company, hiring and building up new divisions. Working to try to get into carriers with an open phone is a very, very, very big challenge, and this was the target of that product. So the question that I always get asked is, what is GTA 03 and when will it ship? So I'll answer these questions for you today. Okay? What is GTA 03? Well, I just said it, really. It is a phone that we specifically designed with the knowledges of this guy and what we thought was needed to get it into the hands of, our moms, our dads, our girlfriends, our significant others. And we realized that with the current resources we have as a company, we needed to first focus on the original goals and first focus on being able to survive long term. So we have another guy that we're working on now. Let me just call this Project B. I will talk more about it soon. We need to finish this first because from a business standpoint, again, I want to share today the business challenges of trying to create a hardware company that believes in this openness. The business challenges are the BOM, the bill of materials of a mobile phone, is 4 to 5 times more than this thing. Let me just call Project B. So from the cash flow standpoint, we would be putting the company in very, very serious path if we were to start again ordering the inventory needed to launch a consumer phone right now. So again, we delay this decision to launch the next phone, to first launch this product, develop more capital, and then come back to the phone. So OpenMoco, when I say finally deliver on the promise of GTA 02, what I mean is that have a product that I can forget about. I put in my pocket. I know that I'll never miss a call. I know that I'll never miss a message. Just that polished experience that you would expect from a consumer product. That was really the original goal. We wanted to use the power of openness and bring this to normal people. That was the reason that I worked so hard to start this company, and I think the reason why so many people were so excited about us is because of that. One thing that I want to say today, I don't have much slides prepared on it, but what I wanted to say is there's been a lot of buzz on the mailing list lately about people leaving and what it means to the future of OpenMoco, and I want to assure you that we are in this for the long run. We have realities like everyone else does now because of the economy, because of just choices that we made early on that put us in a position where we are right now. And when we explain this to some people inside the company, they chose to leave as opposed to stay. We also had to scale down a bit more too, so we could survive for the long haul. So I don't want to talk about HR issues too much because they're always extremely complicated. There's always so many things that are going on both inside and outside that's just impossible to talk about in a sort of a one-way monologue, which is what this is right now. So with that said, I want everyone to know that we are serious at turning this into a real business. We are serious in using the most interesting aspects of free and open source software to create a consumer electronics company that hopefully embraces as opposed to pushes away all of these trends that the internet and that distributed development have brought on. How can you help? Because we really do need help now. The stage of the business of the ability, well, I like to say, the ability to bring a mass market open product to market is at a very, very critical stage now. We are a company that is in year 2. I believe startup companies either make it or break it in year 3. Right? By year 3, everyone knows will we make it or not. And so this is the key year for us, year 2. This is why I hope you can appreciate it. As a president of a company, I need to look from the numbers side, from the financial side, and make sure the company can survive long term. And that's the priority switch now between the phone and this Project B is based on creating an organization that can survive, that we can have a machine that can continually turn out interesting open product. So we need your help. First off, buy the free runner. I said before, we have lots of inventory now. Move code upstream. This is extremely important for a small company. Well, the original premise was that if your code's upstream, your maintenance effort's less. We need help there. Right? We've tried, we've struggled. We've gotten lots of code upstream, but not enough. Second is to continue to develop applications. I was at a conference yesterday, but I guess the time makes 2 days difference, and speaking to many embedded systems developers. Now, these are people who use Linux because it solves their own sort of business problems, not so much out of like philosophical reasons. And they were extremely excited about this. It's the first time they've heard about it. So what was the most sort of revealing to me was just, we need to be in this for the long run. We need to be able to survive in the long run so we can get the feedback from the market about what people want, what companies want, what individuals want, what markets want, so we can make phones into the future that are really trying to do the original ideas we thought about. So please, stay involved, continue to develop, and cheer us on. The questions?
Thank you very much for this impressive speech.
Yeah.
There might be some questions in the audience.
Any questions? Yeah, in the back.
What are the next milestones you're expecting to hit?
The next milestones?
Yes.
Sure. This year with the phone, it's all software. So we're working on the software stack that I showed on this far side here called OM 2009, and that's to integrate the great efforts of FSO. It's a new bootloader, a very, very small, lightweight bootloader, and then a user interface that's written in Python, so scripting based. That will be the primary focus this year for the company on the phone, from the development side. On the business side, we are really aggressively trying to pursue new markets, trying to dive in and figure out where this product as it is right now will work, will be very interesting. The other side is to continue to build up the logistics, the operations side, so the business can move product to customers more efficiently and also at a lower cost. Yes?
I'm sorry to ask such a blunt question from a consumer point of view.
Yes.
I wanted to buy one a year ago, purely as a user,
yes.
And the German distributor said, you can do everything with it but phone. I wouldn't buy one at this stage. Now, a year later, is it safe for me to buy one if I want to use the phone as well?
Well, let me ask you, what are your expectations of it? Do you want it to like be able to replace, say, your Nokia phone or your Motorola phone?
No, just my ordinary cell phone plus a few extras.
Mm.
And I don't need to not miss an incoming call, but it has to always work when I want to do an outcoming call.
Well, okay, you can always make an outcoming call. The incoming call, I have missed incoming calls numerous times. So let me say it this way. I still carry a consumer phone. I still carry a BlackBerry with me. I would love to throw that away and only use my Neo, but I still carry a BlackBerry. So if I were you, if you're interested in the project in any ways, then I would say buy it now. If all you want to do is put it in your pocket and never worry about it again, I would say wait longer. Yes? How long?
Yes.
That's
until I can not miss incoming phone calls.
How long until you don't miss incoming phone calls? So we've publicly set out a release schedule for this OM 2009 software, and the plan is to be final in June. And that software was specifically designed to be, a basic feature phone type level software. So June, at that point, we hope to have a phone that will not miss calls anymore.
Okay. Software upgrade.
Sorry.
If I buy the thing now, will that software run?
Oh yeah, of course. Let me just re-emphasize that this GTS 02 phone that we have right now, I believe it's still in just the early stages of what it can do. And we're not going to drop support for this. No way. This is the key thing that keeps the company going right now. We have to support this. Your software that we run this year will definitely run that thing. We have no other hardware to run it on.
One question, you did a lot of work on the GTA 3 already, I guess. So if it's supposed to come out in 010, 011, we don't really know yet. Won't the components that you're using will be end of life by then? So will that pose some serious challenges?
Sure. Everyone can hear the question, right? Okay. In the hardware business, the components, you're right, they change extremely fast. The major components change a bit slower. The CPU that we used, actually it's called the SoC. The SoC we used in GTA 03 was a 6410, a brand new processor from Samsung. And we believe that will be, based on Samsung's internal roadmap, we believe that will be a competitive product even in 2010. So the key sort of brain, if you will, of GTA 03, even in 2010 is very, very competitive from the market side. So we're not worried about that. What will change between now and when GTA 03 gets moved forward again, I believe, are some of the other components that are in there. So, for example, I'll let you in on a little bit more stuff. For example, GTA 03, we removed Wi-Fi. And it was, for a number of reasons, again, very, very complicated. Now, as we move forward, after the end of this year, when we really work extra hard to see what the markets want, again, right, we'll reevaluate that discussion. Because this year, we saw a need for a lower cost open phone. A open phone that a consumer could buy for a price cheaper than an iPhone, right? And that pushed demands into the BOM. It pushed demands into the actual development of that hardware. Now, with this new focus, we will reevaluate that decision, because 2010 will definitely be different than 2009 from the market side. And so we want to be ultra market driven. And it's basically, we will listen to, towards the end of this year, what type of applications are being developed, what type of usages people are thinking about, what type of products carriers are looking for, and then make changes then. So one of the things we will do between now and then is to restart another discussion, an open discussion on GTA 03, on the future of it, on what components make the most sense in there. But the core part of it, the SoC, I believe was still a very good decision, and it's very strong, and that will maintain because of all the kernel work we've done on that.
I've also a question concerning the firm philosophy of openness. I think you're one of the most radical firms living openness in not just the code way, but also communication-wise and whatever. So from your personal standpoint, now, like 2.5 years later, do you think did it pay out to be so transparent and be so much dependent on the blog commentaries and everything, or would it sometimes be more comfortable pursuing the iPhone, Apple strategy, kind of closing up?
It's a very good question. I can say it's a lot more work to be open than it is to be closed. And we get criticized sometimes for not being open enough. And this is a business sort of track on openness. So I hope you can appreciate a company and how there are certain things that you cannot be open about. So there are certain things like HR, certain things like how much money we have in the bank that I could hit that, I could talk about, I could kind of go around, but I can't, it's open software, not open bank account. And it brings up challenges, but I believe in it. I believe that there's a heck of a lot smarter people outside than inside. And I view my job more like a service to everyone out there, in that I try to create a sustainable business model that will let us bring these ideas that you guys developed into the hands of regular people. And so the challenge for me and for the whole company is the balance. How do you balance the needs of running a business, HR, all of the secrecy around that, versus the needs of individuals to feel they have a voice in the future of the technology that they created. And this, sometimes we do really well, sometimes we do really poorly. I can tell you that it's a very high priority of mine to get this right, and we keep working on it.
Are there any more questions? No. So thank you very much for your presence here.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.